Hello, I'm
MenothJohn.
and I'd like to welcome you. First of all, let me take just a moment to thank you for allowing me back into your homes. If this is your first time with us, let me extend a personal invitation for you to drag out your
miniatures
and paint along with us each week. Let's go over to the canvas here and let's get started. I believe, every day's a good day when you paint. I believe, it'll bring a lot of good thoughts to your heart. I believe, every day's a good day when you paint. I believe, it'll bring a lot of good thoughts to your heart. Let's build a happy little cloud. Let's build some happy little trees. There are no limits here. You start out by believing here. You can almost paint with anything. All you have to do is practice. There are no limits here.
Oh yeah, brush heads. It is Sunday night, and you can literally almost paint with anything. I'm living proof of that, and I would like to welcome each and every one of you to the Brushhead Nation. Yes, this is MenothJohn, and welcome to Painting with MenothJohn. But I have to be very honest with you viewers, it would not be Painting with MenothJohn if it weren't for the man, the myth, the legend, the glue that keeps this little tiny ship afloat, the co-host with the host, Mr. John Spencer. Say hello to the Brushheads, Mr. John.
Hey, Brushheads.
Oh, God, it's good to be back behind the wheels of steel. If only we had turntables, they would be wheels of steel. But we'll have to settle for a MacBook Pro and an overly large monitor to make up for the fact that my aging eyes can no longer see.
Mine are not exactly great either.
Yep. John, it's 6:30 on a Sunday night. I think it's time for us to get down to business and release the Kraken.
Absolutely.
I believe that noise you just heard was my cell phone going off telling me, why, John, have you not yet released the Kraken? So let me see here. Why is this yelling at me? I'm going to turn it off because this is a professional podcast and we can't have that. There, boom. Cool. So, tonight we want to do a little bit of a more somber releasing of the Kraken, John. A very dear friend of the show, Mr. Brett Painter, ultra brushhead. Mr. Brett Painter had a very tragic loss in the family. Nobody in his immediate family, but a tragic loss nonetheless. And for those of you who are on the Painting with MenothJohn Facebook site or are on the my own personal Facebook site, you may have seen a little bit of a call out to the positivity engine for them and their family. I want to ask all of you who are hearing my voice now to kind of take a moment and send the good vibes heading towards Mr. Brett Painter. This is a very special releasing of the Kraken. This one's for you, Brett. Hey, Ron.
Ron.
Okay, that's the last serious moment for the show, I promise. So,
most likely.
how was your week, buddy?
It was good.
That's good. What did you have some Kraken today to release with us, or what were you having with
Oh,
us?
yeah.
Today?
That was cracking.
Oh, it's fantastic. Hey, Brushheads, we're going to be experimenting with a new camera angle on tonight's show. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to switch this over. I know you all look forward each week to seeing this grizzled face of mine show up on your camera, but we're going to go ahead and we're going to see what we can do about... Oops, hang on. I'm hitting the wrong buttons here. Here we go. We're going to see how you like this one. This is the new and improved painting cam, and hopefully you're going to be able to see me actually painting on a painting show instead of having to look over my shoulder and see it from about 30,000 feet. So hopefully this will work out. Make sure that you leave some comments on the boards and let us know if you like this. So before we get to going too far, I want to kind of put a quick shout out about something that I took part in earlier this week, John.
Oh, cool.
For those of you who are not aware, the Chain Attack guys are going to fabulous Poland to do a live streaming of the WTC, and I guess the cool thing about, I was a little worried about being ignorant as I am of all things worldly. I was afraid that the internets might not love the Poland as much as it may love other parts. I'm still operating underneath the delusion that the United States somehow has technological superiority over anything. So it turns out that Twitch has a server just across the mountain in Prague, Czechoslovakia. Did you know that, John?
I did not.
Is that not an interesting fun fact?
That is an interesting fun fact.
So
There's servers everywhere.
there are servers everywhere, and everybody's getting their Twitch on. They're twitching in Czechoslovakia. They're twitching in Poland. They're twitching all over the world. It sounds like an ELO song or something like that.
It could be, actually.
It probably is. So they are going there and they are recording a series of interviews with folks that they want to talk to and that people might find it interesting to talk to, and they're calling it getting what is this called? Getting Personal with Scott and Trevor. Jay is not going to be making the trip to Poland, but Scott and Trevor are going to, and they spent an hour and a half with me talking about stuff. And mostly it was origin story stuff. How did I get into gaming? Why did I get into gaming? Why War Machine? And stuff like that. We talked a little bit about the podcasts that I've been on and stuff like that. So it's interesting. They're going to have a really great group of guests. They're going to have Unsweet Casey, the producer from Archer,
Yep.
is going to be one of the guests. They're going to have, let's see, who else is going to be on there? They're going to have Berger from the Dark Omen Gaming Club, who is a super sweet guy. And they're going to be talking to him. They're going to have I know I'm missing a bunch of people here. I could probably pull it up, but I don't want to. We have such awesome flow on this show. I hate to interrupt the flow by interrupting that. But please get yourself over to Chain Attack TV. I think it's chainattack.tv. And check it out. I'll put in some links in probably the Muse on Minis post when I get around to it. But they need like $3,500 or so to get over there and get their equipment over there, and then they will be live streaming from the WTC, which I think we all would love. I know
Absolutely.
I would. I know I would. I'm going to be, even though I'm going to be I'm interviewed for it and all that kind of stuff. I'm going to buy it because I love the sound of my own voice, John. That's why I podcast.
I'm going to get it too, but I'm a fan of all their stuff.
I know. I am too.
Their subscription and everything.
Yep, they're wonderful fellas. They put out a hell of a product, and I'm sad that Jay can't go, but I'm sure glad that Scott and Trevor are going to make the trip. So, yeehaw! Let's see what else. What's next? Oh, the drive to 175, John.
Yep.
So let me give you an update. I am at 184. I was I think 186 and some change last time we checked.
Yeah. So
I am continuing the downward, which I'm very happy about, and we're still pushing forward. Once again, only day of the week I drink is during the show because the brush heads mean that much to me that I'm willing to endanger my life by continuing to drink the beers during the show. So, John, how are you doing on your vision quest?
I'm down another 2 pounds. So I'm down 17 total.
Man, I'll tell you what, that is fantastic news, John. You are kicking butt and taking names.
It's slowing down, but just let me take a look and see what I'm doing right, doing wrong during the weeks.
Yep. I did, there were some cravings, I have to admit. I mean, I'm not Superman, and there were some cravings, but I was able to fend them off with a piece of fruit. So I was able to go after getting an apple or making sure I've got myself some bananas in the house, and that seems to be really helping me a lot. So, yeah, we're not
a lot of the granola bars that aren't the most healthy for me, but they feel pretty good, so
there you go.
That's more important than anything.
Hey, man, it's all about the moderation, right? We talked about that.
Yep.
So. By the way, folks, for those of you who are watching, once again, I have no ability to control where the hell I'm painting this thing. So this was the problem with the original close-in cam when it was jammed up my chin when we were doing this show. I'll try to do a better job of keeping my model in frame when I'm painting it. But anyhow, so we had a new kind of addition to the Painting with MenothJohn streaming empire this week, John.
You did.
Would you care to share? Did you tune in at all, John?
I was out. I mean, it's on Saturdays. I am out pretty much from the time I get up to the time I'm about to go to bed on Saturdays.
Cool. What we're talking about, folks, is Brunch Machine. Brunch Machine with MenothJohn. It is basically the fact is I travel a lot for work. I've talked about that on the show before, and my friend Zach Watson also travels a lot for work. So if we didn't get together and play a game, God only knows how frequently we would even play this game. So We get together at my place, Casa John, and we play 1 or 2 games a week. And I decided, I've got the rig sitting right there, and I don't even have to unplug anything because for those of you who've been longtime listeners of this show, longtime brushheads, no, I will never touch a cable on this computer ever again as long as I'm doing this podcast because somehow I've managed to find the combination that doesn't hiccup halfway through the show 14 times. And we played 2 games this week, and it's about we do this. The start time is about 10 o'clock Central Time. The reason we can't say that for sure we're going to start exactly at 10 o'clock is because Zach is coming from Burlington and he needs to get here, and then we need to set up and all that stuff. I try to have the table pretty much ready for him, but we played a couple of the one that has the 2 flags and the 2 objectives, and the objectives are the light artillery piece thing. I can't remember that scenario's name.
And the objectives contest the flags, one on one side of the board, one on the other side of the board.
Something like that. I believe so.
Yeah.
I believe so. And we'll say we did 2 games, and the total show was an hour and a half. So that should tell you how long that first game probably lasted. But it's an interesting thing to watch. Zach may have gotten his revenge for last week. So tune in. Check it out. It's up on the YouTubes. And if you subscribe to the Twitter, you will get, if you follow me on Twitter at MenothJohn, when that goes live, you should get you should get a tweet or something like that. And check us out. We had about 13, 14 people watching this week. So
cool.
Yeah. So I'm not going to give the spoilers. We played Osram versus Nemo 3, and we played Sevi 1 versus Nemo 3. So I got a couple games in. John, I understand you got some games in this week too.
I did. I didn't get any games on Tuesday, but I did manage to get one in on Friday night, Saturday, and a little bit of Infinity this morning.
Woohoo! So talk to us.
I'll start with the Infinity since I know people are love some Infinity when I put it out there. My wife's out this week. She's having fun this weekend with some buddies, and so I've got free reign to do whatever I please. Nice. I headed up to the local store this morning and got out there, hung out, chatted with the guys, and one of the guys is like, "Hey, we're gonna run the Paradiso campaign book campaign here. Just one scenario a week. Get your game in and just have fun, see how long we can play it in, get us all back in the swing of things."
Super cool.
I figured I will jump in. So we talked about it, and me and my buddy R decided to play at less than maximum points, played at 150, which is about half maximum.
Okay.
And he was playing the Pan-Oceania Military Orders sectoralist.
Okay.
Which means nothing to me other than his guys that are really cheat and have lots of ballistic skill and suck a lot. And I was playing my standard Capu Calci, which means that I get to play with Scarface.
Nice.
And even though it was only 150 points, I played with Scarface because you needed an engineer to do the scenario. You had to, you could use engineers or hacker, but engineers did it better.
Okay.
And the only engineer I own is Cordelia, who's Scarface's sister, who comes with Scarface. So I'm like, I'm playing with Scarface.
There you go. And I know you've got a lot of love for the Scarface.
That is the model reason I started playing. I want a quick one on Eagle Span. No, I will not be at the shop tomorrow. I'm going to go see my family.
Hey, there you go, buddy.
So we set up. It's like 3 objectives, sort of kind of diagonally. One's 4 inches off the center line towards him. One's 4 inches off the center line towards me, and one in the middle is in the middle.
Okay.
I go first. Have Scarface come around, try and blow up his remote, and roll so many dice that do not work at all. His stupid remote's got what's called ODD, which is an optical disruption something doodad.
Okay.
So it's really hard to hit, and I just could not hit the broadside of a barn. But luckily, there was no threat in it because he was out of range, so I'm just firing shots.
Sure.
Leave him there. My space pirate comes down. My Yon space pirate comes down from orbit, lands, and I go over trying to get a good spray on his dudes, and I hit 2 of them, killed 1, but he killed me in return, the critical.
Oh.
On an 18, and high numbers are generally bad, but apparently when you're stupid link team of military order guys, you get effective ballistic skill 18 at
Whoa.
close range. So yeah, it was uncool.
Yeah, because I remember I don't know a lot about Infinity, John, but I do know it's a game of matching numbers, right? Matching
Sort
to
of.
get the critical, and then
It's
you have
really
to.
weird. Yeah, you match to get the critical. Yeah, and then the closer you are to your skill, the better that number is.
Okay.
It's opposite of normally you want like normally it's like, oh, I rolled a 1 and my skill's an 18. That's a great success. No, that's a horrible success. You
Gotcha.
want the other way.
Gotcha.
So I still feel okay when I give away a Yon for one model, and his other model that I hit had to failed his guts check and had to run around the building and stay out of line of sight, which let one of my guys advance and at least cover one of the objectives. So his turn comes around because I wasted half my orders trying to kill that stupid drone and failing. His drone moves forward, and now I'm not rolling 4 dice with my guns. I'm rolling 1 die, and he's firing back, and he rolls a crappy roll, and I hit him and blow his drone up. I'm like, okay.
On a 1 die roll, you gotta like that.
Yes. On the other side, he brings his guys up and hits my spec ops dude in the face with a flamethrower. With a little droney dude, which I managed to kill, but unfortunately, my spec ops guy is allergic to fire and goes down. And
I approve of fire, by the way. Just saying. Maybe not for that game, but I approve of it in general.
Yeah, it's good stuff. And he gets to the objective with his guy, but doesn't have any orders left to actually try and do the mission objective, which is you have to like examine the objective to find out where the data is. Then you've got to collect the data, and then you have to upload the data.
Got it.
So he finds out he doesn't find out. He doesn't get to roll the dice on that. And since Scarface is a stable model, he's berserk, so he's got to start moving towards the enemy. And luckily, being attacked, he's pretty quick, so he wanders basically up around a building and then across the board. And after about 2 orders, I'm just start shooting at his army and pretty much start killing everyone he comes around.
Nice.
He does hit me with the other flamethrower and do structure point to Scarface, but I blew that drone out of the blew that drone straight to hell. And killed like 3 of his guys that turn. It was pretty crazy. Scarface is on a roll. Because the one guy I did kill earlier was his Spitfire, which is probably his best weapon for killing Scarface. So I'm sticking with my standard tactic, hide Scarface until the weapon that can hurt me most is gone, and then kill everyone. So he goes, he's got a couple guys left. He takes some shots at Scarface, goes and figures out, he examines the objective, hits the roll, which is good, finds out where the objective is, the real one, and it's the one way the heck another half of the board near me.
Oh.
So he's out of orders at that point. Scarface has to move forward. And I pretty much kill everyone else he's got, except for he's got one guy hiding in a building prone who's got a gun, and his engineer is just at the point where I can't see him. So I've killed all the rest, but I'm out of orders again. So at this point, he's really just a shake to me, but that's not what the rules say. So we keep playing. We talk about it a little bit. I'm trying to give him some, hints. Because look, good thing about ours, he's got no ego about this either. I mean, one of us is going to blow the crap out of the other one, especially at 150 points. Long story short, he gets his engineer, decides to just hide.
Yep.
On my suggestion, because Scarface has got to go towards him. And if he stood where he was, I'd go forward, shoot him, and he would die.
Sure.
Because that's just what happens. So he hits, so I at least have to waste more orders on him. This other guy stands up to cover that last objective. So I activate my little infantry puds, and they're in a little link team like he had on the other side of the table, just smaller. They manage to move up the board, take some shots, and I take his guy down on like the second order. The first one we both totally miss, which is rare, but we both just totally miss shots. Second time I get a better hit than him, drop his dude. But again, not enough orders to go and take care of the objective, so I just have Cordelia move up behind my team and hang out there. At this point, I've killed his lieutenant. He doesn't really have anything left. He gets up, takes some shots, doesn't do anything to Scarface, but I don't kill him, so hey, bonus. And on my turn, I just go over first roll. I get the objective, and then I have to spend all the rest of my orders to actually get it to upload. It's like a -6 roll.
Got it.
But I finally get it. End result, I get 4 experience for the campaign. He gets 1. It was an interesting game. At that points level, I think a tag is a little excessive, but it was the only way I was going to get an engineer on the table.
Well, do you feel like it's balanced at that point level? I know. War Machine does suffer a little bit at some of the lower point values around balance.
I thought our game was actually reasonably balanced because he could put enough shots on Scarface to take him down.
Yep.
But looking at a couple other games, I'm not sure it's balanced that level. I think you have to get at a higher points where quality versus quantity can come into effect more.
Got it.
But that was that game.
Cool. Sounds like a good one, man.
Yeah, it was good fun. It was good to get back in the swing a little bit. My second game was Friday night. Again, R had told me during lunch, because we worked together, that he had a Veil idea that he needed me to either validate or beat out of him. So we came in, and I dropped my good pair of lists against him, my tournament lists, if you would, not the sort of testing ones I'm doing. And Mad Hammer versus Veil 2.
Okay.
And his whole idea was to drop Icy Grip on a unit and then have 2 Deathstalkers, Lanissa or Anissa Rissal, or whatever.
Yep.
Cavalry chick and Raptors just take a unit off the table. I'm going to divert for a little bit. For Eagles fan, no, Infinity is not the most balanced tabletop game. Stop saying that. It's not true. Every game has its problems. Fuck it.
There you go.
All right,
That's fine.
Back to the regular.
That would be the squirrel part of tonight's show.
Yeah, sorry. It's a nitpick. It'll come up later in Flippity Bloops.
No problem.
So it was an interesting idea. It works better when Mad Hammer doesn't kill both Deathstalkers first turn.
Whoops. I hear drifts are a thing.
Well, actually, I killed 1 and then I crippled. I mean, I did damage a ton of the Raptors. If I popped feet, I actually would have killed Anissa and 3 of the Raptors, but I didn't pop feet because you don't pop feet first turn. That's kind of crazy. He comes forward. He Spellmartyr runs. Icy Grip on the Gun Mages. I shrug. Due to range issues and models, he only was able to kill. He was able to kill Terran and then 3 of the Gun Mages, and I was whatevs.
Yeah.
The officer was still alive. Mule sitting next to him was good, so thumbs up.
All systems are still up.
Yep. So second turn, I popped my feet. I had used Dougal's mini feet first turn because I had done bad math in my head and thought the mule could get range to something, and it didn't. Double check your math. That's a good quick thought.
That's a good medium thought.
But I crushed stuff. I mean, I had forgotten to use Dougal to Artillerist Durgan because occasionally I'm dumb.
Oh, it happens.
And but the drifts all went in my favor, and I just killed every member of the pot and killed almost all of his legionnaires.
I love it when the pot dies.
And killed another raptor. Did some more work on the other side with the rest of my troops. Hammer Dwarves killed the objective with much prejudice. Holy crap. I score a point on that side because I managed to pretty much clear that objective. The mule shoots something in crits because it's a mule. That's what it does.
At least for you it does.
Oh, an angel. Hit an angel, critted it. I left that angel with 1 box, with one circle left. It was crazy.
That's pretty good.
I wish I had one more shot or rolled a little better. But hey, So his shepherd comes up, heals it. He does some work. I did have Durgan up there, and due to the way my scatters went, I had no need to spend Fury. So I had, 4 focus on me. Sorry, focus on Fury. And he's looking at my armor 21, He's got 3 raptors. He's got 2 angels, and he's got Vale's feet. So he decides to go for it.
Yep.
He pops the shredder out of what's left of the pot, being the pot with half its life. That thing runs forward. He hits it in the back with her Oculus,
Yep.
doing almost half its life.
Ah,
And Icy grips Durgan with his feet, obliterates him at dice -6, does like 4 or 5, obliterates again, does another 4 or 5. Raptors come forward, all 3 hit, dice -11. They do a grand total of 0 damage.
woo!
The angels come up. First one comes up, crits, setting me on fire.
Yep.
And dice -9 does no damage. The other one comes
Wow.
forward, and he actually just flubs the roll and misses.
So wait a second. With the angel, he didn't thrust.
No, he wasn't in charge range by any stretch of the imagination.
Oh, okay.
He had a full move and only barely made it within like 10 or so to get the
shot off.
Yeah, it was 12-inch range, but he got within 10. And the other one came across the universe and only barely cleared the building in the center of the table to get a shot off.
Got it.
So I'm on fire. I still got like 9 boxes left or something.
Oh yeah.
Or I think it was 7. He actually did a little bit of damage here or there. And fire does like 2 damage, no big deal. I'm looking at this and I'm like, well, I got 2 choices. I can either just back up to the edge of kill box and heal for 6, because I don't really need to do any work with Mad Hammer now.
Yep.
I mean, both angels were in bad shape. The one was almost dead. I've got one zone almost clear. I got 1 model in there. And the other zone, the objective's there. But I think I can clear the zone. So I have the gun mages activate. They push the shredder out of the zone and cripple it. Then the mule activates, aims and boosts and thunderbolts and blows the angel out of the zone.
Nice.
With a crit and thunderbolt, so it was not even near the zone anymore. I kill whatever's left on the other side. I don't even remember what it was, but it was deader than crap because hammer dwarves and they're a thing.
Yeah, they sure are.
So I was pretty happy in general. Eris activates, does 3 points of damage to the objective, and then heck, I just charge the objective with Mad Hammer, kill it, and score 4 points.
Boom goes the dynamite. Nice.
It was good stuff.
That's great. I mean, that's I had getting a stacked devastation and thunderbolt. That's the kind of that's living the dream style.
Yep. And I guess a little thought from that is, be conscious of your focus. If you put yourself out there a little bit, maybe just camp. Maybe tempt them into trying a low percentage assassination, because that was pretty low percentage.
Yep.
At dice -6, he only has about 8 or 9 boxes with the obliterates, leaving me with like 8. The raptors on average do 0. The angel does 1 or 2.
Yep.
You can't count on the fire, so you're still looking at needing a good fire roll to kill someone at that point.
Yep.
And that's assuming you don't actually just straight roll horrible dice with 1 attack and miss, which he did.
Yep. I had a similar situation when I was playing this Tuesday when I had Severius running double Judicator, and he this is the non-troll specific version of the Meat Beater, and it is I was facing E Lilith, and he had nothing. I gave him nothing left to do but try an assassination, and good old Sevi, he face tanked 2 shots from an Angelius, just like you did.
Yep. Well, Cindervale, while checking in with us all the way from South Korea.
Hey, Cindervale, thanks for coming on the show, man.
Asks me, when was the last time I lost a game? And he meant it to be since he left in December.
See, that's why you're the co-host, the host, man.
I don't think I've lost a game since December.
Oh, you're.
That being said, I haven't played as many as I've only played in like 2 tournaments or so since then, and they're just local. So
Well, that's
And I've
cool,
gotten
man.
extremely lucky in some games. I mean, let's not say I'm the best. My dice like me sometimes.
Yeah, that's
But
what I heard was that you could punk Will Pagani.
let's not get crazy here. Depends on what my chain attack baby seal dice say. If they're in a mood, maybe.
Maybe. So he kind of cutting from the bat report thing. We have a new segment that we want to do here, and it's gonna be a little bit of a shorter version. It may not be as totally inspired this week as it might be in future weeks, but we'd like to do something we're gonna call Technique of the Week. And since this is a painting show ostensibly, I'm going to talk a little bit about some kind of a technique this week that might be good for beginners or intermediate painters. And so what you see in front of you here are 3 Dragon Forge design bases. And they normally they're just resin bases that you've probably seen before. And what I would like to talk to you a little bit about is how do you paint sandstone? So when I do sandstone, because all of my Signar is on sandstone, and as you can see, here are some, these are the lightning pods from my storm wall. And I had those based on regular good old-fashioned bases, but I'm going to transfer them now onto these Dragonforge design ones. So the first thing that I do is I go ahead and prime them black. Make sure that you are priming. If you're a new painter and you're not priming, you're not doing it right. You got to get that primer on there, or the paint won't stick right. So the next thing that I did is I painted it with bloodstone, and that gives it a really nice kind of a red rocks kind of a color. So start off with that. Just paint the whole thing. Just go nuts. And then what I did is I washed this with Ogren flesh, or as it's known now, Reichland flesh shade, and that gives it this little bit more of it pulls it to a dark red rust color like you see here. And then I use the Agrix earth shade on the rocks on the sides and on the gravelly kind of stuff, just to kind of give it a little bit more of a dirty kind of a feel for it. Now, the next technique I'm going to use, and this is kind of our technique of the week, is I'm going to use a dry brush. And so this is a Games and Gears flat end brush. John, when I dry brush, I like to use a flat end brush. And when you dry brush, how much dry brushing do you do, John?
Medium amount.
Okay. What do you use for a dry brush?
I'll use a quote unquote dry brush, which is just a flat end brush. I'm not really sure it works terribly well if you don't do the other thing.
Yep.
If you don't use a flat end brush, it's kind of hit or miss then.
Yep. The dry brush technique is one where what you're trying to do is you're going to pick up on all of the little raised edges. Okay, and what you're seeing me do is I take a little bit of paint from the pot, and then I wipe it on the paper towel here until most of the paint is gone. But even when you think most of the paint is gone, there's still a little paint on there. And then I'm rubbing this, and I'm going very fast. I'm not doing a lot of careful work here. I'm kind of just brushing it across. And as you can see, it's highlighting the edges, and it's catching the texture that's in that resin that was originally put in there. So, and I think you can see that it's starting to come up kind of nice there. Now I'm going to do this to this next one, and I'm going to do the same kind of a thing. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going right over the top of the whole thing, paying a little bit of a special attention to the edges. And if I feel like I'm not getting enough, I might even go back onto the dry brush, the tissue paper, the paper towel, and get a little bit of that paint there. And then I'm just going to be real careful, and I try to start on the edges when I'm first starting with a new sort of load of paint on it, because you want the edges to pop a little bit more. If you make a mistake and you get a little too much paint on there, at least you're just highlighting the edges, and you're not getting like a big bleh of paint right onto the actual center section, which would look kind of weird. And then I also put a little bit on center section too, because you'll notice on this one there's a carving in there, and I want the edges of that carving to pop a little bit. So there's that one. And this is rock. This is something that it's an uneven kind of a thing. You don't have to sweat it. This is the time when you're thinking about happy little clouds. This is a time when there is no making a mistake. There's just little happy accidents as you're going along, and keep on working on it and keep on pushing it. Now, I'm not going to go in because we're up against the clock on this one with the Flippity Bloops. We don't have a lot of Flippity Bloops this week. Yeah, and we would sure love to hear from more of you by putting a Flippity Bloop in at hashtag Flippity Bloop on the Twitters or coming to the Painting with MenothJohn Facebook site. And I always put in a post for the show, usually on Sunday mornings. Make sure you get your questions in because we love that stuff, and that's why we reserve a half hour for it. So the next step after this would be to come back with, this was Rucksack Tan that I was using. I would come back now with Menoth White Base and just a tiny little bit of that, and I'm gonna put that on the edges mostly, and then you pretty much have it done. You've got yourself a nice sandstone or red rocks sandstone kind of looking base. So that's our technique of the week: painting sandstone and also dry brushing. How'd you like that, John?
Awesome. Actually, I plan on painting my circle. I've been giving thought to painting them with like sandstone sort of bases for them. Get out of my normal standard browns.
Yep. You know that there's even when you do circle, when you're doing those concretes too, what do they call it? Frostbite is a really good paint if you're doing a gray and you want to have the edges of the paint kind of be that sort of weathered concrete or weathered stone look. The Frostbite has a little bit of blue to it, and it really it pops out really nicely that way. But if you're doing sandstone,
absolutely,
you've got a technique.
Yep.
Holy cow, we're 5 minutes late. Flippity bloop.
All right. Well, the first one of this week's is from Jerry, who I believe is one of the Irish WTC members.
Hey, we love the Irish.
Yeah. And he says Legion versus LeConte. Any good drops for Legion?
Legion versus LeConte. So, I mean, first off, I love you, buddy, but only the Irish would ask me for tech. So, first off, here's to the Irish because we love you. Hey, Ron.
Ron.
So, this is one where I think you're going to have to think a little bit outside the box. When I was at the TempleCon, I saw a lot of people, or a few people, I should say, playing very successful. God, what the hell is the guy's name? The infantry caster guy you've got.
Alice.
What, Callus? Yeah, try Callus. Because LeConte just straight up screws range, and I think you're gonna have a bad time if you're playing a ranged based army against LeConte. So I would bring Callus because he can bring those in. God, there's nothing more irritating than the number of frickin' incubi that you're able to bring back with that son of a gun.
And combo strike's pretty good against their shield wall guys that those guys tend to like.
Oh, God, yeah. I mean, I was, when we were at TempleCon, we had MenothJohn and his nuts. That was our team name. And Brett Painter faced off against a Callus list, and I was done really early, mostly because Jason Rodriguez kicked my butt up one side of the table and down the other. But Painter was locked in a death match against 450 incubi because of that son of a gun. So I would say that I think my thought for Legion would be, number one, you're going to want to go with Callus. What do you think, John?
Callus is good because he's got a strength buff, so he can kind of power through his feet and all that heavy infantry. My thought was actually Absolonia because LeConte wants to play a sort of attrition game, and why not out attrition? She's got Forced Evolution, which adds to strength and everything. Also make your beast really hard to hit. So you can power through on the feet turn, and she's got an attrition-based feat, making all of her beasts healthy again. So that might help you push through.
Is
Get some Scythians in there to go through the infantry because Slaughterhouse is his chain attack, whatever it's called, massacre or whatever.
Yep. Quick question for you.
Really good.
Lucan's a purification caster, right?
He is.
And I'm just a little bit worried about because a lot of those things that make Absolonia so darn awesome are upkeeps. I'm a little worried about LeConte stripping off at least the defensive sides of some of that stuff.
Yeah, well, I mean, who cares with defense? If you go with some Scythians, like I was saying, to crush through with his chain attack versus the shield wall guys, um,
Yep,
you need it for the offense. The plus two strength is still good, and
that's
what you
true.
do is you force him to spend the focus on it.
Good
If you
point.
only use that upkeep, you're like, at first when you put him all out there, see what he can do. He might edge forward too, and get into some threat.
Gosh,
Well, they should use the threat.
that's a really good point, buddy. I wasn't thinking about that because if you spend somebody to pay all that focus, even with the focus efficiency of convergence, that's still focus that caster doesn't have.
Yeah, that was actually my deep thought for my other game. I forced an opponent sort of to spend 3 Fury just to kill Gorman, and is it worth it? Well, I got used out of Gorman, but he spent 3 Fury on a 5 Fury caster to kill Gorman. Is that worth it?
Yeah, not that turn. I'll tell you what. He's a bad dude, but man,
Exactly. So you can sort of force him into that thing, and she upkeeps for free. So he's like, well, I'll purify it. I'm spending 3. Maybe you just spent 2 on the one beast because the only one you really need is for Stevo.
yep,
The other ones are good,
yep,
but also, it's you have to look at the pieces they tend to use, and that kind of list could work.
yep.
It's also something you might play that's got other good play too.
So there's a couple options for you. Give them a try. Give the old Absalonia a try. Old Freaky Fingers herself, or possibly think about what's his face, the guy I can't ever remember because of Callus, because I never see him except for that one
Yeah.
time, and he was freaking good. So people should play him.
And Malio says try Saren because she's got great game against him if you pop the feet at the right time, which is 100% true.
That is
Who cares how
absolutely.
much armor he's got for a turn if he can't hit you?
Yep, absolutely. That's another great one. Good suggestion there from the Brushhead Gallery. Thank you. Flippity bloop.
All right. David Wanky says that he has a hard time committing to a single faction between the 4 Yones. He wants to elevate his play. Any suggestions for sticking to a single faction? He
So
always gets pulled into a different faction because a caster he really likes or a certain combo.
So David is the fellow I played this last Tuesday with. He was playing the Meat Mountain, and I got my first attempt at playing the Meat Beater against the Meat Mountain, and he beat me with a troll army that he doesn't play. So he's got very legit. He's one of the better players that we have in the Milwaukee meta. I think that he brings up a really good point. When I have here recently, I was playing a lot of Retribution and stuff like that, and I found that I was, getting beat quite handily, quite a lot, and I know that when I set my sights to get better in the last year, I was getting better with Protectorate. So I guess my tip would be is if to get better, to really reach up and reach that next level, I think you almost have to be playing an army a lot of that same army over and over again. So in order to do that, you have to figure out which of your armies is your favorite. We have people out there right now, like you look at Jordan Knock and some other people that are taking mercs. They're doing legit work. You're doing legit work, John, with mercs. There is not a faction out there that can't, with enough practice, bring it to the house and win it. So pick that army that you feel that you like playing the most and most fits your play style, and I would say go that way, because if you don't enjoy it and you don't like how they, I mean, for when I was playing Retribution, the thing I missed the most, John, was the fact that Protectorate, when it gets to the party, whatever it touches, it kills. And I missed that because I would send a Jack in thinking that I was like playing Protectorate, and I would be shocked that I fell several points of damage short, and now it was dead. So that made me sad. And so I would say that's my tip for picking a faction and taking it to the next level, is make sure that you're picking a faction and a particular, that you particularly enjoy what they bring to the War Machine party. What's your thoughts, John?
Well, from my experience, there's 2 ways you can handle it. You definitely need, when you play an army, you have to set aside a time frame. I'm going to play them for at least X time.
Yep.
No matter what comes out, no matter what you see, you got to play them for at least that time to at least get some familiarity. And I actually suggest, I was originally doing, 3 or 4 month blocks, and I would only play like 3 casters. Do my tournament pair and one other one I just wanted to try as an off. and that was all I would do. There'll be a point in the game where you feel like you don't need to stick to that as much, but I still suggest that as your basis. Like I'm going to, like right now, I'm mostly playing Ashley and Magnus.
Mm-hmm.
I will occasionally jump out. I play a Damiano list for Charmat on the Mama forums because he wants some testing with it, and I'm got the time to test.
Yep.
And then I'll play my main list, if you will, but I'm really familiar with them. But just play something for a bit, and then you can switch up if you need to.
Yep. You
But as you get more experience playing different factions, you'll find you'll reach that level where you're just playing with stuff. It's not mattering as much once you get that sort of each of your factions to the point where you understand them.
Yep, I couldn't agree more. That's what I did when I was playing my E4 Firebomb list, and then I was playing the list that I call that with Harbinger that I built based on all the different models that were taken to the WTC. It wasn't a particular list that was taken to the WTC, but it was all the most popular stuff from Protectorate that was at the WTC, and I just played those lists over and over again, and I got really good at playing those lists.
Yep, and that's what happens. You just get good at it.
Yep. So that's some great thoughts on that one, John. Appreciate your perspective on that because if there's, you're a top-notch player, so you've got a lot to say on this particular subject. So flippity frickin' bloop.
All right, I think I got one. So I've got one from Belinda Lawrence.
Oh my God, what's up, Belinda?
He asks, "What do you do when your boyfriend locks the screen door and he's podcasting?"
Oh my God. Oh God. I'll be right back.
Now, obviously, Brushheads, that was one that was fresh off the presses, just came in. So we'll take a little break there. I'll read another one, and I'll start answering it, and then we'll, of course, bring him in on there. And I got one from Nicholas Starrett, who asks, "My first Minis game was 40K. When I switched to War Machine, I still use Citadel paints. How do P3 paints compare, and do you have any preferences?"
Back.
You're back. All right. Well, Nicholas Starrett asks, how do P3 paints compare to Citadel paints, and do you have a preference?
So, there are some things I think that Citadel does very well. I think that Citadel washes are as good as it gets. I am not, however, a tremendous fan of their... I got the microphone back up in my mouth, so I'm winded. I must be really out of shape, John. Anyway, I'm a huge fan of Privateer's regular paints, though. I even prefer their Privateer's metals over Citadel's metals as well. So I think that if I were starting off, looking at paints, I would use Privateer paint, the P3 paints for all the normal colored stuff, and then I would look at getting. I think the holy trinity of washes from Citadel is Agrax Earthshade, the Seraphim Sepia, and the Reichland Flesh Shade. And then if there's a particular color that you're going to be adding to your faction, let's say like I'm a big fan of the Darushi Purple that I've been goofing around with lately, and that might be another one to look at. But I'm a huge fan of the washes of Citadel, but I'm not so much a fan of their paints per se. Not their current line, at least. Once upon a time, they were hot stuff, but not so much anymore. What do you think, John?
I agree in general, but the Citadel line of paints is so expansive at this point that you really want to use both as much as possible. If they both have the same color, I would go with the P3 paint. Techie wise, if we understand, the P3 paints are more liquid based, while the Citadel paints are a solid pigment in liquid. So the P3 paints just seem to flow better.
Yeah,
they go on the models better. They don't get as chunky, but they're still both viable. And honestly, if your local store carries them, look at all the paints. Don't constrain yourself. I use a little bit of Army Painter. I use a little bit of Vallejo regular. Honestly, I'll use anything.
Yep, I'm a big fan of Army Painter's washes as well. I think they make I use the strong tone and the dark tone a lot. Dark tone is a really nice substitute for Privateer's the armor wash that they have. In fact, it's better than armor wash. and the Strong Tone is a real nice version of Agrix Earthshade. A lot of people are a little critical of the Agrix Earthshade because of the pigment strength in it is a little stronger than what the old Devlin. Oh God, Devlin Mud, Devlin Mud, which used to be referred to as talent in a bottle,
Yes.
because it is. And but I still use it quite heavily. I mean, if you look at and I'll try to do a decent job of showing this on the screen, but these mechanothralls that I just finished painting, and of course you're not going to be able to see them, but they are washed down with Agrix Earthshade. There is some of the Ogren Flesh, which is also now the Reichland Flesh Shade on the oranges to pull the orange down a little bit. If you look at this model down below here, this is the same orange on both of these models. The difference being that the Mechanothral has had a wash applied to it. The other thing that I'm really a fan of with the Citadel right now is their technical colors. They have a line of colors that there's one here called Typhus Corrosion. They have a dry product called Ryza Rust, which is used for doing rust effects and things like that. It's almost like a paste. I really like the I can't even pronounce this, Neolic Oxide, which is a blue. It's a kind of a washish kind of a color, but it's really good for doing like an arcane glow. And then what I did on all the Mechanothralls is I used the blood for the blood god, which is kind of a thick paint, and it does a really nice job of making like a blood effect on their fists. So to make a long story short, I mean, it's kind of like what you just said, John. There's a lot of paint out there. Use different paints and try them. Don't feel like you're betraying your hobby if you use a little bit of Citadel and use a little bit of P3.
Yeah, absolutely. Use every tool available.
Yep. Secret Weapon makes some awfully damn good washes too. So yeah, there you go, Flippity Blue. Here's one thing I will say though. Tech tip for me: brush on sealers.
Absolutely, I'm there with you. It takes a little more time, but it's a more controllable medium. You won't get all the horror stories from sprays.
Okay, these are the two bottles that you need to get, and I'll take this one down and I'll put the new bottle up so you can see what the label looks like. These are from Vallejo. If you don't own these, you should. I get no money from Vallejo. Go buy these. You can get them at Hobby Lobby. You can get them at Michael's. You can get them all over the place. They are brush-on varnishes, and I mix my own when it comes to this one. As far as my recipe, I put 10 drops of matte, and I put 1 to 2 drops of gloss in it, and I mix it up. And what that does is that if you just use the matte, it tends to dull the colors a little bit. But if you put a little bit of the gloss in there, you don't get shine, but it preserves the nice depth of color that you get from an unsealed model. And for gosh sakes, seal your models, because you spend all this time painting them. Don't want them all chipped up. Boom, there, Flippity Bloop.
All right, I'm gonna skip around a little bit to make sure we get to the important ones and save the longer ones for the all-day episode, which is next week.
Shut up. That's next week?
It is.
Oh, wow. It is next week. Hey,
Yeah.
That's cool. Awesome. Yay, next week. Next week. Yeah, thank you for reminding me.
All right. Well, I don't know if this one will help you too much, but Chris Ordonez, who is Centervale on the chat room, asks thoughts on the meat thresher.
The meat thresher?
Have you seen the rules for the meat thresher, John?
No. What is meat thresher?
It's the battle engine for the pigs.
Oh, shut up.
Yeah.
The rules are out?
They were spoiled and then taken down real quick.
Well,
I'll just say at the local store, the squid was talking about the meat thresher a lot.
Okay,
on
so
Saturday.
let's talk about meat thresher. Tell me all about it.
All right. Well, I'll give you the basics. Speed 6, strength 12. It is not cavalry.
Okay.
It's Mat 6, Def 10 armor 19.
Okay.
It's got a Gatling gun with 2d3 auto fire.
Wow.
That's basically a hand cannon, 12-12.
Yep.
and its melee weapon is a crusher, which is pound strength 16.
Okay.
And it says when this model makes its first melee attack during its activation, it makes one melee attack with this weapon against each model in its LOS and this weapon's melee range.
Wait a second. So it in its LOS and in its melee range.
Correct.
Okay. All right. So it's
And,
the whole front arc.
yep.
Wow.
But so far, unless it says something more, hold on. It does have bulldoze. It can do right dry attacks. It's got weapon platform too. Got 2
Wow.
copies of the card.
Wow, that's great.
It doesn't have reach so far. That might change, but so it's no reach. Worth thinking about.
Hmm.
And it's got it makes an additional attack roll against small base models. Additional die attack rolls for small base models.
Okay.
When a model is hit by an attack with this weapon, it knocks them down.
Wow.
And it gains trash. So you can combo a little bit. If you can get something knocked down without it, you can go up and trash it.
Wow, that's great.
It's pretty cool. It's 9 points and it's got 22 boxes.
We'll have to see if when it likely won't have reach. But
it likely won't. But hey, it's still ride by attacks is pretty cool. Gives us some abilities. Bulldoze is very cool.
Bulldoze is extremely cool because maybe if things are
push
lined
back,
yeah,
push some guys back and then just. And Wanky Kong reminds us that it's unofficial from the PP forums.
Yeah.
Oh, Wanky Kong, you don't have to do that crazy forum stuff. You don't have to do cost equal to this. No. You can just say what it is. This isn't PP doesn't control us. We spread unfounded rumors all we want.
Oh God, yeah. I mean, this is the guy that had PP personally and remove him from a podcast. All right, I will never be another a press ganger again, nor am I ever going to attempt to. So what's he saying?
I think it's pretty legit. It's he's given some. He was trying to do the cost equals full Gatorman Posse, but it's 9 points.
Yeah, whatever.
But, I think it seems pretty legit. It's not overpowering. It seems solid.
Yep, it's going to do some naughty bad things to single wound infantry, and especially it gets that bonus die on to hit, right, for small base.
Yep.
Man, that's good stuff.
It is. It's pretty cool.
It'll be interesting because I know that that Squidly is going to be probably proxying the living daylights out of it, trying to see how to make it work right. But it'll be
at least once or twice on Saturday.
I'm interested to see the Gator one because Gators, I love Gators. But
that'll be cool.
But it's good to see the piggies get something fun. That 2D3 autocannon sounds pretty awesome.
Yeah, I mean it's only Rat 5, but hey, it's still a lot of shots.
Absolutely, and it's a weapons platform, so you knock all that stuff down. If you didn't happen to kill it, shoot it.
Absolutely.
So, Flippity Bloop.
All right, we're getting close here. Got a couple I want to save for the all day. Scott Hebel II asks, is there anything you have an ignorant dislike of? Anything that causes you to complain like Andy Rooney?
I guess the thing that makes me kind of rant is when people say something sucks. When somebody says X such and such model sucks, nothing puts me on edge and makes me ready to defend a model more than having somebody tell me it sucks. It makes me want to work harder to make that person wrong. As far as an individual model that makes me complain, the other thing that makes me upset is the current conversion policy, where where they're limiting creativity in the name of potential lawsuits that will never happen and are not defensible if they happen to be streaming sometime. So they want to cut off the creativity of a game that was always one that prided itself on inclusion and inclusiveness, because sometime they might stream something. If that's what your biggest concern is, PP, then let the professionals stream it.
Yeah.
Let us, and we'll be happy to take care of it for you, and then you don't have to piss off your fan base. So There, that I think I almost got to Andy Rooney levels on that one.
Yep. I agree with you on the models suck, but it's different. It's models suck and they haven't played them.
Right, there you go.
Because, the new the Men of Light Cavalry, the Flamebringers suck
Bullshit.
until you play them.
Yep,
You
they're
know?
fun. They're good times.
Kurgash just says Siege Animatrix sucks. Don't know if he's played it or not. If he has, well, fair point. If he hasn't, I don't know. The person just hasn't found it. Remember, they got stuff planned way in advance. There could be something coming out.
Yep, exactly. And they
But,
absolutely do have stuff in the pipeline.
I like to think I'm too rational to have any real irrational dislikes of things. I try and really stop and think about it before I say stupid stuff. I had a habit of that in the past, so I can't think of anything. I'm sure there's something my friends would tell me that I definitely go crazy about, but I can't think of it off the top of my head.
I'm pretty sure everybody thinks I rant more than I do, so that's fine. I mean, people, I just.
No, I figured it out based on our conversation in the pregame and in the pre-show.
What's that?
I dislike it when people dislike movies and then insult you because you liked a movie.
Yeah.
You know what? At the end of the day, I liked something and you didn't. Who has the problem?
Who had the better time?
Exactly. And every people have different tastes, you know?
Yep. Agreed.
Bam, there we go.
There, bam.
Brought it out.
Boom. Flippity bloop.
All right. Well, it's 8:30, so it's time for some more alcohol, and I'm going to save the last two for next week. So, Ben Hansen, I've got the two from you, 2 quick questions from you. Seem like they'd be better for a long show. And then Jason Belsha has a really good one that I think we'll need to explore in more detail than we have time for.
Hey, how many do we have saved up for the big show?
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11,
Wow.
12, 13, 14.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah.
We're going to have to pace ourselves.
From a wide variety of people. Actually, wide variety of people. That's
I got to
cool.
figure out what the hell I'm going to paint next week.
Well, I've got my I just crazy primed my Earthbreaker yesterday. It is currently a very, very bright red because I used the Army Painter primer. Because if you're going to paint everything red, why not just start by priming it red and then we'll go from there?
Well, it seems like it's going to be easier to frickin' get the coverage.
Yeah, it got good coverage. And the squid has named it the Rock Lobster.
Rock Lobster! Super sweet.
So I've been looking for good names for all my colossals, and I like that.
I still haven't named my my storm wall yet. I was thinking about naming it Broken Ass Piece of Shit, but I decided against it. Cause the boy
doesn't fall off the tongue, unfortunately.
No, and it's hard to say it. And then Broken Ass Piece of Shit moves 5 and shoots the big guns. So
And I don't think Signar Jake would like that name so much.
Probably not. Nor would his
Probably
mother.
not.
Nor would his mother.
Yeah, very much so.
But she's not here, so we'll call it whatever we wanted to call it. So
Absolutely.
Anyway, so there you go. There's our Flippity Bloops for the week. I want to thank all the brush heads who have just gotten their legendary brush head status for submitting the Flippity Bloop. I hope that everyone hearing my voice right now will submit Flippity Bloops for next week's show because it's going to be long. And so we're going to have to give some thought this week, John, to what the hell it is we're going to talk about. This certainly snuck up on me, but thanks to the fact that you are the co-host, host, you keep this show on track.
And I'm going to have to watch a heck of a lot of movies and make sure I've got plenty to talk about.
I'm wondering if we shouldn't try to do a riff tracks.
Oh, that might be a little rough because there's a little delay between us and the brush heads.
Oh, I was wondering if there was some way I could figure out how to share I can probably share my desktop and we could break every copyright law in the world and
most of them.
and broadcast a movie over twitch.tv. I think that could end the show.
It could be bad.
I think
maybe not want to go for that.
I think Twitch would probably just shut me right the hell down. So probably that's a bad idea. All right,
yeah.
so there we go. So we won't do that. I just finished putting the base rings on my mechanothralls, And now we have, I've got another shot of Kraken here. And
Ooh.
to all of the brush heads, legendary brush heads, this one's for you. Hey, Ron.
Ron.
Mm. Say, has anybody been commenting on the new camera angle, John?
I did not see any.
Okay. I would love to get some feedback from the brush heads on that.
Yes.
So,
And also, if any of the Russians have any quick ideas for movies that are easily accessible or I might own that you'd like to hear me talk about, throw it on Facebook. You can message me directly or put it on Painting with MenothJohn and let me know. I'm always up for watching more movies.
amen. And that gives us something to talk about, like G.I. Joe Rise of the Cobra.
That's right. And this is the first G.I. Joe movie before anyone gets their hopes up. I'll go out and say it. The second one is straight better. My wife and I saw that for our anniversary last year, and did not dislike it. We enjoyed it.
Nice.
Already got some coming in here. All right, so JoJo Rise of Cobra. I'll start off with my quick thought on it. It's almost there. They had all the pieces in place, but they just didn't use the pieces right.
So
it's like a jigsaw puzzle where they fit some pieces in the wrong spots, and it just looks kind of weird.
So talk to me a little bit about who's in this movie.
Channing Tatum, or Charming Potato, if you like.
Okay.
The worst of the Wayans brothers, Marlon Wayans, who, in his defense, was actually not too bad in this movie. He was, I guess, serviceable. I didn't hate him like I did in other movies he was in.
Okay.
So, let's see. A whole bunch of other people. The Ninth Doctor, his name escapes me right now because I didn't eat dinner. So
the Ninth Doctor, that was
Eccleston. Eccleston.
Okay.
Yep. He plays Destro.
Okay.
Joseph Gordon-Levitt or whatever his name is was in it as Cobra Commander, in the end at least. Oh, sorry. Spoiler. I think the movie's like 3 years old. No spoilers in this movie. Come on, good lord.
Yeah, exactly.
So there's a lot of people in it. No huge names. Dennis Quaid, biggest name. He plays General Hawk. Could have not been there. Probably been okay. And Ray Park is Snake Eyes. Best casting ever in that movie.
Nice.
So like I said, it's most of the pieces there. It just, oh god, did it wrong, you know? So many characters were interlocked who didn't need to be interlocked. There's this whole, Duke, Baroness, Cobra Commander thing that just did not need to be in it at all.
Were they trying to do some kind of a love triangle or something like that?
No, well, there's love triangle, Destro, Baroness, and Duke, which is okay. They've sort of done that in previous, even though it was Flint. But Flint and Duke, honestly, as far as the old cartoon goes, they're the same character with a beret or not. So yeah, it was. Oh, like I said, it's one of those movies you look at like I enjoy it. It was fun. It needs to be taken back a notch. It was just a little too crazy at points. Like I said, the too much interlocking origins didn't work because basically, Cobra Commander is Baroness's brother and Baroness is Duke's ex-fiance.
Oh, for God's sakes.
And Cobra Commander is, of course, Duke's old buddy who... It doesn't matter. That totally didn't be needed at all. I mean, it was... Oh, my God.
Wow, does that sound convoluted?
Yeah, it was... Oh, that's right. On the other hand, the Snake Eyes Storm Shadow portion was handled really well.
Cool.
You get the idea of them, and that was the only little combination you needed. A little bit of flashback for them was awesome. I keep going back to it. It was almost there. It had all the pieces. The biggest visual problem was, again, they went a little crazy and they put lips on Snake Eyes. For F's sake, why? Really? I think I'm talking myself into a worse rating than I was really going to give it.
So before
On,
before you're up to 5 shots of Kraken, what do you
it's not
get?
going to go that bad. An Eagles fan says he could go for a born style gritty reboot of just Snake Eyes. I'm there. Snake Eyes is one of the best parts. It's always funny that you need Snake Eyes because they have Storm Shadow, because otherwise ninjas kill everyone. That's what I learned from G.I. Joe. Ninjas, they're not a trifling matter.
They're a little bit OP.
And it sort of took from a lot of different versions of G.I. Joe. It took a little bit from the cartoon, which I forget the exact cartoon it was at that point, but it took a little bit from that cartoon that was on at that moment with the accelerator suit thing they did, which was, like I said, it was the current hotness, so I can't really fault them. Um, the ending really, really struck me as Return of the Jedi.
Really?
Space battle, or in this case, undersea battle, reminded me of the space battle with the actual base being the Death Star and its giant cannon they had to shut off from inside. It stole a little too much from that, and it's weird that I was sitting there watching the movie and that came to my head.
You know, something like that coming to your head like that, it seems like that it probably was more real than not.
Yeah. And then the best is it had one of the best setups for a sequel ever, because it flows right into the sequel. I mean, even though the good guys, quote unquote, overall win, the bad guys had the perfect setup for their sequel.
And that was?
Well, Zartan basically is put into place as president.
Oh, nice.
They capture the president down in his bunker because the whole thing was basically they launch these missiles at Moscow, Beijing, and Washington D.C. Get the president down in the bunker, and the bunker was made by Destro's company, so they've got guys in place there, and Zartan replaces the president. I'm like, full points for actually having a decent bad guy plot for once. Overall, it was a bit of a mixed bag. I enjoy it. It's 2.5 shots of Kraken. Before this, I would have called it 2, but it's 2.5. It's just got too many problems. But worth watching if you get it for cheap or you own it, and I own it because I'm crazy like that.
Yeah. So,
what did you watch this week, John?
So what? I didn't watch any movies this week, but my focus this week is going to be on video games. So there was the PlayStation 4 is beginning to come into its own, and I'm really loving the fact that it's starting to come into its own just in time for Xbox One to start cutting its prices and taking things out, and I'm laughing. So I love it when Microsoft fails. Anyway, I'm going to recommend the game Cell Damage. Cell Damage is an old game. I don't know if it was on the Dreamcast or where it originally was, but it is a vehicular combat game set in a cartoon universe. So you have these wacky non-IP guys. There's one that's called Foulmouth. He's a film noir duck that is in black and white, and he's driving around some kind of like a limousine kind of thing. No, he's like an old British sports car. And then there's like this goth chick that's in a tank, and then there's a construction guy who looks a little bit like Elvis, that like Fat Elvis, that he's in some kind of like a bulldozery thing. And you have all these crazy weapons that you can upgrade, like a thing that swings a baseball bat and a chainsaw and missiles, and you can make your car fly and do all kinds of crazy stuff. I've gotten a ton of fun out of this game. The controls are tight and responsive, and there's nothing more fun than when you get to the weapon selection screen and you turn all the weapons off except for the one that turns you into a helicopter with twin Gatling guns on the side of your vehicle. And you're flying around and shooting each other, and it turns into an aerial combat game when you thought all you had was a vehicular combat game. It's super fun. It was like $9 on PlayStation Store, so I would recommend each and every one of you within the sound of my voice. Get out there if you've got a PlayStation, or I don't even know if it's available on Xbox. Give Cell Damage a try. It's a lot of fun. It's great because you can do up to 4-player split screen. So you got the old school multiplayer sort of action So I highly recommend it. It's a ton of fun. Lich Lord Charlie and I played the living daylights out of this game this weekend. And for $9, you can't argue. I can think of a lot of worse ways to spend $9. I'll tell you what.
Fair enough.
What about you, Mr. John? What's your next one? You got another movie for us?
Oh, I do. I watched a classic from the 90s.
The
It's
90s,
funny
you
that we
say?
can. It's funny that we can call a movie from the 90s a classic, but I watched John Woo's, I believe, second U.S. film, Broken Arrow.
Ah, yes. If I remember right, this is a story about how they lost a nuclear weapon off of a stealth bomber?
Yep, absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah, 1996 film. Good lord, it's older than I thought. And it stars John Travolta and Christian Slater. So
Ah, yes. Christian Slater. Don't even know what happened to him.
no one knows what happens to him. I think what happened to him is he's just not as good of an actor as people think. But he occasionally has his great moments. This movie, um, I can explain it in a quote from the end of the movie,
Okay.
and it's a John Travolta quote, and he is amazingly over the top in this movie. He's got his own theme music. It's great. Um, he's spoiler for a movie that's almost 20 years old.
Yeah, there's no spoilers on 20-year-old movies.
Yeah, he's the bad guy.
Yep. He is.
But so the quote from the movie that sort of explains this movie is, "You're out of your mind." Yeah, ain't it cool?
Ain't it cool?
And that's pretty much sums up the movie. Yes, and aliens like butterflies. Yes. And actually, that's how I describe the movie. It's just action, 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 butterflies. Action, action, action.
Very cool.
It's really too fast to dwell on its flaws, which honestly is a bonus to the movie like this. That brings it from the you stop in the middle of the movie going, hey, that's not right, like something like G.I. Joe, to this where we got refrigerator logic, as I like to say, where you're like, oh yeah, cool. And then you stop at the refrigerator, like, wait a minute,
Wait a second.
that thing for that movie I watched didn't make a lot of sense. Basically, the idea is that Christian Slater and John Travolta are both Air Force pilots, and they're running a training exercise in a stealth bomber. But John Travolta has a plan to sell the nukes back to the U.S. government for a paltry sum of some like $25 million, something stupid like that.
$1 million.
Yeah, it's like chump change. I'm like, okay, I guess at that time that was a lot of money.
Think big, tough guy.
Yeah, or something like that. 125 million, still not a lot. Yes, Broken Arrow though, vegetable soup. It's Broken Arrow. He just came in late. So man, it's a good time. I love it. It's a fun action movie. It's more of like a B+ movie. Yeah, it was made on a solid budget, very enjoyable. I saw it like 5 times in the theater. To be fair, it was the only thing in the theater at that time. But I mean, it's the first movie in the theater where you really, really notice the surround sound. They did a lot of good work with the sound.
Nice.
The surround sound come in the right ways. There's like cool scene in the beginning where the bomber goes over a cliff, and you get that sound from the rear moving to the front. It was the first movie I remember really noticing that.
Super cool.
Like I said, Travolta was a very good over-the-top villain. He's overacting a little bit, but boy, it's fun. It's got Howie Long in his greatest movie role ever, which is not high praise.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's his only one.
No. He actually headlined a movie where he was some sort of fireman in the forest. I forget the name of it, but I saw it in the theater. Kind of regret it. All right. For the most part in the movie, it doesn't fall play to one of the things I hate, which is romance between the protagonists in a short time that wouldn't happen. You can tell there's some attraction again. They maybe go a little over what I like, but there's no blatant romance between them, which is good because when he lands after being ejected from the bomber as Travolta's dropping the nukes to sell them again, he meets a park ranger who ends up helping him. And she's an interesting little character. She's probably braver than any park ranger I've ever heard of, but if there are park rangers that brave, hats off to you.
You can't count out a park ranger.
Yes.
You know, they're used
And
to they're used to dealing with those wily bears looking for them picnic baskets.
yeah. And but a very enjoyable movie. Pick it up, watch it for free. I got mine on Blu-ray for like less than $10, and it's worth every penny. Um, where was that? Oh, this movie hates helicopters. Spoiler: you see a helicopter, that shit's dying. I'm
Prepare for it to
sorry.
fall out of the sky.
Yeah, it is totally not going to make it through the next 10 minutes. I noticed that going through the movie. I'm like, oh, that one. Wait, that one. Holy crap! This movie just hates every helicopter, which is honestly kind of kind of John Woo's thing. He tends to go with sort of themes. Also, you know, as a occasional role player, I look at things from a role playing sense occasionally, and I really got the theme from this movie that Christian Slater's character has very good hearing.
And how
There's
is
like
that?
a scene where a helicopter's going through a canyon, and he's like looking around. You can tell he hears something. He's kind of squinty eyed thinking. So he realizes what it is before it comes up. So I'm like, okay, interesting. But they carry it through the movie more, which is rare. They're in a mine shaft, and he hears the guy coming from like where he's hiding with grenades, and he hears the pins. So he does that, and then later in that same scene, he hears the grenades dropping down the mine shaft at them. You know, I was very impressed. Like I said, I wrote it down that, you know, they carried a sort of theme like that through the entire movie, which, you know, hats off to. Some movies don't think that far. They only have good hearing for like a scene because the plot necessitates it, not through the entire movie.
Do you suppose that Christian Slater could hear his own career ending?
Maybe. Maybe he
Whoa!
could.
Ha-cha-cha.
So I'm going to give Broken Arrow. Yeah, I would give it a shot at crack, and most of you guys probably give it a shot and a half or two. But I give it a shot because it's a soft spot in my heart. And it's, like I said, it's a fast paced action movie. You just want like an hour and 45, hour and a half of just action, not too much thought, and the bad guy has his own theme music. Bam, there you go.
I'm going to tell you what. I'm not going to criticize anybody on their movie taste, given the fact that I've watched Battlefield Earth about 4 times.
Wow, really? I couldn't make it through one.
Yep.
Granted, it had commercials, so that's a death knell for a lot of things.
Terrible movie. I've watched it a lot of times. Hang on.
So,
here
did you watch anything? Are you playing other games this week?
I am. Hang on. This is a very delicate part of the process for those of you who are watching this. I'm putting my arc markers and charge marker on these bases, so I've got to like lean over the top of them and think happy thoughts, or else I'm gonna like completely screw them up. Yeah, I think I've struck gold this week, John.
Oh, really?
Yep, I found another game called Transistor, and Transistor is by the fine folks at Supergiant Games. These are the folks that brought us the video game Bastion. And I played Bastion on the iPad all the way through from start to ending, I think 5 times. That is,
Wow.
without question, the most number of times I have ever played a single video game ever. And Bastion is this... The thing that makes Bastion, and I'm not going to do a review of Bastion because if you haven't played I'm going to say Bastion as many times as possible, obviously. If you haven't played it, play it. It's an amazing game. The thing that really sets it apart, however, is the fact that Bastion has one of the best aesthetics as far as its art direction and its music. And what's cool about it too is that the narrator, at least on Bastion, you don't know who the narrator is until he kind of reveals himself, and it's one of the non-player characters. In Transistor, the narrator is your sword, and it's a talking sword that has this kind of cool like circuit board pattern on it, and so it's stylistically really strong, and I'm just really loving it. I've only gotten through the first couple levels. Alex Shaver from the Clockwork Vox podcast has 100%ed the game already, so I know it's not terribly long, but neither was Bastion. And so because it wasn't terribly long, I played it 5 times, and I got to see every ending, and I got to see do it with all the different restrictions and power-ups and all that kind of stuff, which is in and of itself its own reward. So it's ostensibly a science fiction show where it has something to do with music, and the person, your protagonist, is a singer of some variety. I don't know much yet, but boy, am I excited about it. So it's available, I think, for like $20 right now, and it's looking like it's going to be a great game. So Transistor from Supergiant Games is something I would highly recommend.
Cool.
So I do have one other video game thing that I do want to talk about. Let's take a look. Oh, we got 5 minutes. This is the perfect amount of time to talk about this. I am going, because I spend an awful lot of time on the road, I am going to be looking for ways to play my favorite game, War Machine, when I'm on the road. And the only way that I can do that, short of bringing my big old bag of pewter with me, which is a huge pain in the butt when you go on airplanes, it's doable. It's absolutely doable. I've done it several times, but it's a pain in the butt. I'm going to be playing some Vassal, John.
Oh, cool.
So for those of you who don't know what Vassal is it's a virtual tabletop, essentially. And it is free. And what it does is it's a generic engine that people can write modules for, and it allows you to play against other people online, and it's not the full rule set by any stretch of the imagination, but it gives you the ability to play the game, and it has a dice roller, and it has icons, and the artwork is officially blessed by Privateer Press. So Adjudicator looks like Adjudicator and all that kind of good stuff. And, I think the best way to play it is using something like Skype or Google Hangouts so that you can talk to the other person. Because if you have to type, it takes a month of Sundays to type all the different commands in and stuff like that. But it's good times.
I've seen that before. That's crazy talk.
Yeah, it's not worth playing at that point. I would rather poke my eyes out with sharp sticks. But I'm going to be. I put out a call on the Facebook for people who are interested in playing against me on Vassal and beating me up on Vassal, and I have got a few takers, including Owen from Mini Wargaming of the Cooler fame. So I plan on doing some on the Twitch feed. I plan on doing some Vassal games where you can listen to us talk, just like how John and I talk, because I'm going to use my iPad for the Google Hangout or the Skype, and we'll play some Vassal, and it'll be super fun. So there you go. So that's the last thing I really have to talk about for tonight. Anything you got left on the agenda for this evening, Mr. John Spencer?
Absolutely. I had some suggestions from the chat room on movies I should watch, and those of you who are listening to us on the podcast version, jump to our Facebook page, facebook.com/paintingwithMenothJohn,
Yep.
and throw some movie suggestions at me. As far as movies, remember, I only have Amazon Prime, so Netflix is cool, but I don't have it.
Yep.
That's
Please,
extra money.
got to be sensitive to that.
But also, if it's a more bigger name movie, I might consider buying it, especially if it's cheap enough.
Mm-hmm.
So Dogma and Red State and Time Crimes are not quite on the slate yet because they're not streamable and a little expensive to buy. But Usual Suspects and Snatch, well, I own both those movies, so you'll probably hear some reviews for them soon.
Oh God, I love Snatch.
Yeah, that was a at the grocery store pickup that was random and worth every penny again.
Have you seen Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels?
I have not, shockingly.
Oh jeez, Snatch is better. Don't let anybody tell you different. It's a very similar movie, but Snatch is better. And so if you've seen Snatch, I would still watch Lock, Stock, but Snatch is better.
Absolutely. And thank you to all of our servicemen for your service on this Memorial Weekend.
Oh heck yeah!
Hats off to you. And actually, as a matter of fact, Ron.
Hey, Ron, I can pull one up for our friends in the armed services.
Absolutely.
Without you guys, we wouldn't have the freedom to enjoy this awesome internet that we invented. Take that, everybody who is an American.
Yep. So that's what I got.
Well, I'll tell you what, buddy. I think that's a show. So
It is a show.
so we're going. It is 7:59. We're going to go ahead and get this thing started here. We're going to pot up the old music here. I think. There it is. Hell yeah.
Hello, I'm
MenothJohn.
and I'd like to welcome you. First of all, let me take just a moment to thank you for allowing me back into your homes. If this is your first time with us, let me extend a personal invitation for you to drag out your
Miniatures.
and paint along with us each.
I like that part where I talk about how you have to drag out your miniatures. Well, folks, brings us to a close of another Sunday. We're going to get started on the all-day affair next week. It is going to be all painting with MenothJohn all day on June 1st. In celebration of Games and Gears miniatures, painting day or whatever the heck it's called, I can't remember, but we're celebrating it and we're sure as heck gonna pump it up. We're gonna keep painting all day. We're gonna go. What time do you want to get started, John? 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock your time?
That's what we discussed last time.
Yep. So that's what we're gonna do. So look for us to start at 9 o'clock in the morning Central, 10 o'clock Eastern, whatever the hell time it is in your specific place in the woods. Please be here and join us. We're going to paint a whole lot of stuff. We're going to do a whole lot of flippity bloop. We're going to need a lot of support from the brush heads. So get on here and give us the business and give us the flippity bloops, and we will we'll plan something special. I don't know what it's going to be yet, but John and I will talk about it over the weekend. I want to invite each and every one of you to join in with us. So on behalf of John Spencer, the awesome part of this particular podcast, I'm MenothJohn. Have a great week, and we will see you for the all-day extravaganza next week.